Alright guys, I hope you're all doing well, and welcome to the showdown between Kislev and Nurgle. It's going to be myself with Mother Ostankia facing off against Supreme, who's going to be rocking Festus with his cultists here on Chateau de Roquefort, which I believe is one of our new maps on the Total Tavern map pack. Shout out to Yaga, it is a beautiful map, very cool kind of Bretonnian vineyard type map. Now, as far as my build goes, it is going to be Kislev rocking a front line of armored Kossars, which are just insanely good. Don't really need to get into this too much. Their stats are just so solid, 36 and 40. Their pistol shooting does a ton of damage. They're solid at holding in melee with the Buy Our Blood passive of Kislev, which does make them unbreakable for 30 seconds when they would otherwise break. Just super, super solid. So my entire front line is going to be those bad boys, backed up by some basic Kossars. Now, I didn't have quite enough money to get the spears, but typically against Nurgle, you do want to bring the spears on your Kossars because Plague Toads and other things like that will often be diving on top of them. But I didn't quite have enough money to get what I wanted, so I had to cut corners there. Now with the backfield, if you guys are trying to be Kislev mains, you always bring these units. The Wolfhearts are so insanely good. They're basically like a Shade unit, which has armor-piercing melee as well, but they have 3 charges of nets that have 100 range, and with their damage in tandem with being able to net something down, they can straight up just win you games on their own. You lock down a key piece of your opponents, you grab all your Kossars, you slap them in guard mode, you rip those shots, and boom, you can potentially just win there, right? It's very good. One little Grom as well, because I too am a Nurgle enjoyer. They're one of my main factions that I play at a competitive level. And Soul Grinders are really good. So I brought one little Grom just to kind of sit in the back and pop the Soul Grinder. Granted, this was my first time playing this map, but I hadn't seen it before, so there is some terrain. We have a little bit of a hill and some trees, which can obstruct cannon shots, so you got to be careful. Now, any faction that doesn't have access to cannons themselves, or, things that can really mess up chariots, I think that Mother Ostankia is kind of an auto-take. I personally really like her playstyle. Flock of Doom and Enfeebling Foe aren't bad spells. She does have the Spirit Bear, which does a ton of damage if it's able to hit its target, and Goulash as well, and this is going to be healing her units and giving them vigor. So yeah, she's great, and the thing about her is her melee is very good, 44 with magic damage, decent weapon strength on her chariot, but her Casket of Souls type effect, the cauldron she has on top, is going to be constantly shooting the entire time she's in combat, and it does an insane amount of damage. For my opponent's army, it's going to be double cultists backed up by marauders as well as chaos warriors with great weapons in the backfield. Very solid. Chaos warriors with great weapons, of course, can trade and beat down Kossars pretty effectively in sustained combat, but they are also a little bit vulnerable themselves to like things in the woods and various other chariots that Kislev can bring. And this man, he's not messing around. Old Festus, the Leech Lord, he gets it done. He's got the AoE Mortis Engine, the AoE heal. Stream of Corruption is really good at killing Kossars and Kislev infantry since it has 100% armor piercing values, and he does have the Fleshy Abundance. Cultists are great. Personally, I'm more of an enjoyer in this matchup of bringing the aspiring champions or exalted heroes of Nurgle. I feel like their armor piercing is just so good, but these guys aren't terrible either. They do sunder armor, so they can bring Kossars down to 50 armor, which makes them actually very squishy against things like Marauders and some of the other pieces that you do have in Nurgle. So yeah, they're both very viable. So here we got a Soul Grinder. Soul Grinder taking some pot shots down at the armored Kossars, and Mother Stank is looking for some opportunities to move in. She does accidentally shoot over here towards the cultist, but her things in the woods going to be pulling her away. Well, I'm trying to get some freebies wherever I can, get some shots, but the Barons of the Bog have been called in, and I do get a Flock of Doom overcast, and there's her Cauldron shot. And see, not bad. I mean, she's a menace. She gets in there, Grandma unleashing her full fury on the filthy hordes of Nurgle, whoever. Well, they're not necessarily invading her homelands, but it's close enough. We got some trees and stuff. Barons of the Bog, pretty solid, really vulnerable to missile shooting, but even still, the Barons of the Bog can move in and cut through some of the armored Kossars, and yeah, they do actually have 80 armor, which is pretty nuts, making them a very solid unit. That must have been something that changed in the patch, or I just missed it before, but yeah, their armor values are no joke. So Kossar is going to be sitting on the side objective, and now shooting is underway. Blasting into the cultists of Nurgle are the Kossar pistols, and the bow shots are going to be focusing down on the Barons of the Bog. Now, my first call-in is going to be the big man. The Incarnate Elemental of Beast is super good against Nurgle. It's a Mortis Engine against the infantry, and he's also good at fighting against the toads with his big claws. So Mother Stank is going to be doing battle with the cultists of Nurgle, and seeing the Soul Grinder over here, I went for an ambush. So the Akshan ambushers are, being true to their name. They're going to be maneuvering around the side, and obviously I haven't been discovered yet, so now we're going to be using the Pack Trap on the Soul Grinder, and we're going to be nuking that bad boy down. So forming ranks, and the Pack Trap does have good range. Soul Grinder is going to get popped, and now he's going to be discovering me a little bit too late as the ambush is fully on, and Little Grom has also been shooting as well. So returning fire is the Soul Grinder, trying to save its own hide here, but it's getting nailed by Little Grom shots and also the Wolfhearts, so potentially might go down here. In the middle, Stream of Corruptions, Flock of Dooms flying all over the place. Barons of the Bog have been forced back. The Kossar pistols on Objective 1 came over to help out a little bit. And of course, the big Incarnate Elemental Beast was healed by the Goulash and is going to be able to potentially fight some of these guys back. Good Horseman play, though, from my opponent. You know, Marauder Horseman is one of Nurgle's few ranged tools they do have. So getting it onto my Incarnate Elemental is a good play, and I don't really have any tools for really shutting it down super easily. I do have some heavy cav, or not heavy cav, but light cavalry. The Cossack Dervishes can chase them down, but they can also kite me, and are pretty resilient fighters in melee if they have to at 31 melee defense. So we'll see what route they opt to take, and it looks like it is going to be the kiting route. Thankfully, though, the Soul Grinder of Nurgle did end up disintegrating, so we were able to pound that thing into the Shadow Realm. The Soul Grinder, not Soul Grinder, but the Akshina Ambushers, the Wolfhearts in tandem with the little Grom getting the job done. But Poison Hounds diving into the backfield on the Wolfhearts and dragging a lot of those models down. I was surprised at how quickly they were dying with their 42 melee defense, but they were taking some pretty massive casualties. I think it was partially because I was trying to run instead of fighting, but the Kossovite Dervishes should be able to handle the Warhounds. We'll have to see how that one plays out. Now, back in the main fight, the Kossar is doing well, but Chaos Warriors of Nurgle are linebackers, and Festus the Leech Lord is going to be having a party here. He's got his, did he just bash those guys with his Nurgling? I think he did. Yeah, he's beating them with the Nurglings. Always pretty ridiculous. Mother Ostankia is going to be dropping, I think, the bear launcher. I'm pretty sure I was trying to do it, so we'll keep tabs on it and see if the bear is getting launched. It's a very weird animation, classic Total War stuff, but even still, it does great work. So Mother Stank's down to about half health. She's super tanky. She's got 7,000 HP. On the far side objective, we do have the Armored Kossars chilling out. Little Grom in the back, still putting some hurt down, trying to snipe Festus where I can. And the Elemental Incarnate still doing his thing to take down the Beast here. So the Barons of the Bog are very, very annoying. Durable, nerfing the stats of all your units, hard armor piercing, it's no joke. But yeah, thankfully the Incarnate Elemental has been doing great, and also more detentioning down the Chaos Warriors. So far, looking at the Elemental's value, I would imagine it's probably a respectable amount. Got about 1,000, so it does cost 2,000. It's not the cheapest monster in the world, but even still, it's gotten the job done. So the side objective is going to be taken by the Kislevites here. We got the Winged Lancers and Armored Kossars getting it done. My opponent does have very, very good Horseman micro. This is actually was a tournament game I played in a couple days after launch. My opponent, Supreme, has won a couple tournaments last season with the Ogre Kingdom, so he's definitely a skilled player here. Horsemen moving in, throwing some old shots here at the Incarnate Elemental, which is going to be retreating. Nurgle has kind of taken a strangle over the middle point, and I'm not ahead by that much in terms of value, so that was certainly stressing me out a little bit with Nurgle healing being taken into account. I, of course, do have access to some healing, but I haven't used it yet. Patriarchs will be coming, and a second Ambusher is going to be coming out of the back point there. Should have vanguarded them, but I was just kind of panicking and clicking there and trying to get units out very quickly during a high micro situation. So the Duel of Fates is underway, ladies and gentlemen. We do have the big man battling the, still semi-chubby dude here. Doing that cool attack animation. Festus the Leech Lord is afflicted by the pack trap, so it's going to be locking him in place. Goulash going down to heal Mother Ostankia, as well as the Incarnate Elemental, which does not have that passive healing. And big monsters have always been pretty good against Nurgle, and honestly, the Elemental Bear in some ways might even, I don't know. I would say the Mortis Engine on the Incarnate Elemental sets it apart, but the Elemental Bear was kind of a bit of a take against Nurgle in competitive play last season, at least for myself. Hound's shutting down Little Grom for now. Little Grom is somewhat resilient, though, with its 105 armor, so I have time to get some cavalry over there to help out a little bit. And on the far side, we have this objective lockdown as well. So the Toads did try and come and shut us down, but the Armored Kossars got reinforced by some Winged Lancers, the mighty Polish cavalry, getting in there with the Howling Wings, and they'll be a good trade into the Toads. The Toads, though, still have good AP now. In the previous patches, when the Toads didn't have armor piercing, not previous patches, but a while back, the Toads traded horribly into these type of cav units, but now that they have AP, they generally hold up pretty well and certainly do their thing. So firepower going into the middle from the Kossars as well as the Akshina Ambushers, the Cultists of Nurgle being annoying. I can't quite get rid of them. I believe one of them got a little beat up, but he's gotten close to healing cap. You can see the Festus AoE healing in tandem with his own regeneration was able to get the job done. So Nurgle secures the middle of the map. Value is now taking off for us a little bit. We're at 8,000 against 9,000 against 7, but again with healing, it's not quite as cut and dry as you might think. And it looks like Nurgle's going to be migrating over towards Objective 3 with their very scary blob of Chaos Warriors, which are constantly getting healed. There's just so much healing value on this roster. And finally, we do get those Plague Toads down. So the Plague Toads going to fall to the Winged Lancers and Kossars, hoping that Objective 1 will be stable for now. And we do have a bit of an isolation here in the back. We have the Incarnate Elemental, which is going to be getting smashed by going to be smashing the Cultists of Nurgle. So hopefully chasing him, but unfortunately, if we don't get him off the map, he's going to be back in business. Ambusher is still doing great work. The Akshina Ambushers, the Wolfhearts, have probably gotten well over 1,000 value, and they're doing great work against the Chaos Warriors here. It's such a strong unit. The Ambushers, it's funny, when I first saw them, I was like, it's not going to be the best unit in the DLC, but yeah, the Incarnate Elemental is good, but it's very niche. Not very niche. It's good against factions that don't have good shooting, essentially, and are going to be more melee focused. But the Ambushers, I think, especially the Wolfhearts, might straight up just be the best unit there on the roster. They're so powerful. So Armored Kossars battling away here, holding for Urson, battling the foul disciples of the Plague God. But the Plague God does, of course, have great weapons here, and Festus himself is in the mix, and the cultists are going to be doing some armor sundering, which is a little bit problematic. Some Winged Lancers, of course. The dreaded land battle tactical reserves have come back to haunt me. Those guys chased some units off the map, and I did forget about them. I did feel as if I was fighting a little bit light here. I was like, God, I feel like I have more stuff, but I don't know where it all is. So Curse of the Slug going down to my cavalry. I was going to do a little bit of cycle charging against Forsaken, but he did use Curse of the Slug to slow me down. Now the Winged Lancer is going to be trying to ride by. Didn't see these Chaos Warriors, so unfortunately going to be bumping into them. On the backside, Little Grom just shooting down and across and trying to pop this cultist. I figure if we can keep it from getting back to the battle, that'd be great. And another really awesome utility of Pack Trap, right? We see a Plague Bearer summon, we net them for, I believe the duration of the net is pretty decent. Yeah, it's 25 seconds. So that's going to be a large portion of their summon. It basically just killed that Plague Bearer summon, which is outstanding. Now back in the pits, we do get the old Incarnate Elemental and now called out a Patriarch. So Baba Yaga is going to be getting some healing, and that's huge value, especially on this Incarnate Elemental. So we're going to be hunting down Festus a little bit. Nurgle, though, does have some good pushing power. Forsaken and also, I believe, some Toads in the mix, which is a pretty nasty combo. Forsaken hit super hard against light armor, and the Toads hit the heavy armor. A couple of horsemen at the back, they're going to be pushing and reinforcing. And now I do move my ambushers up to the middle, while the old Plague Bearers are out of their net, but they're not really going to be able to do much before they disappear, which feels quite good. More Kossars on the way up, as well as Dervishes. Figure I need to get this objective. I kind of saw the writing on the wall a little bit, that there was a lot of strong Nurgle infantry coming, and that we're in very good shape here, so I didn't want to put all my marbles on objective 3 and trying to have a pit fight against Nurgle there. That's how Nurgle beats you, is you let them fight in their terms on a very slow, grindy blob fight, right? That's not what you want. Baba Yaga here up to 2,300 value, and the Incarnate Elemental at 3,000. It's been great, right? Like Mortis engineering down good quality Nurgle infantry like Chaos Warriors, and also bashing some of the Toad units. But here it does get afflicted by Curse of the Slug. Very good play from my opponent. Throwing Axe is going to be going after the big beast, and he's going to be getting harried and pushed back. That is for sure. So HP is diminishing, but the Patriarch able to provide a little bit of passive healing if he's in combat nearby, so not the end of the world. A couple Forsaken did get back here, and that's all it takes. 31 Forsaken units going to be butchering these Kossars, who are still trying to rip shots. Very valiant stuff, but overall not taking any damage are these Forsaken, and my poor Kossars are getting mulched. The middle objective does go to us. Far side is defended by Kossars. Little Grom has officially run out of ammo, but not before it gets 1,600 value, and certainly pays for itself. Horseman concaving in, and yeah, really, really good horseman control from my opponent here as he just nukes down that Incarnate Elemental, and Mother Ostankia is going to be forced to pull back here, trying to get away from the horsemen. Don't want any of that as they just push through. My Dervishes, as well as the tattered Kossars holding that point, are going to be falling, unfortunately, and the Action and ambushers are shut down by the Cultists. Cultists are very, very annoying to remove. Their regeneration and their decent combat stats just takes forever to bring those bad boys down. So that hero is probably going to have a field day with these ambushers, or at least keep them busy for a long time. So realizing that we're going to be making a last stand up in the middle, not a last stand per se, but it's going to be very important because the value gap is kind of like maintaining about the same, but Nurgle's healing is just off the chains. So I really, really need to win this big engagement here. So we call them the Oath Brothers of Tor, which are a good unit against Nurgle. They do have magic damage and are pretty armored and tanky at 100 armor. So you throw them in there, have them fight Toads, have them bash down Chaos Warriors, Forsaken, whatever you need. They do also have a little bit of an AoE ability, which does apply a big debuff, actually, of minus 24 melee defense and melee attack. So you get them in the blob, and hopefully with the Patriarch healing and Mama Stank in there, shooting from her cauldron, we can win on this objective. So here, Kossovite Dervishes engaging against Toads, Poison Hounds on the way in. A nice stream of corruption on the Kossars once again. He's been hitting those pretty much the entire game here, and Kislev going to be making its last stand up on this point here as the Oath Brothers of Tor. Although last stand is a bit of a hyperbole. It's still a very scrappy game, I suppose, but here you can see we do start the Ninja the back objective, so we do battle it out. The Oath Brothers going to be enjoying some of Grandma's goulash. Certainly not going to be. You don't tell Mother Ostankia that you're still hungry at her house. That's not going to happen. Or her cabin with chicken legs, I suppose. Incarnate Elemental going to be coming into the backfield, sweeping, still providing utility in the fourth quarter. Its Mortis engine is offline now. It does lose its Mortis engine once it goes below 25%. But so far, the Oath Brothers have been doing great. Backed up by the Patriarch, who's giving them constant passive healing. They've been able to hold back the Toads and the Forsaken, and we are maintaining the cap on that objective. And on the far side here, our mobility, and that's one of the big advantages I have over Nurgle, is the mobility, is able to take the point. Winged Lancers, lances out for Urson. Get in, take out a whole bunch of those cavalry units, and are going to be sending the Marauder Horsemen running, which I know isn't great to chase Marauder Horsemen throwing axes with heavy shot cavalry, but in this case, I just need them away from the battle so I can get the triple cap and close the game out. So right here, Mama Stank able to get the job done. The Oath Brothers of Tor broke the back of the Heretics here. And now the Patriarch and the Incarnate Elemental are going to be sweeping in and doing some work against Festus. Festus is currently terrified and broken, and most certainly is going to be going down here. And that's going to be spelling doom for Nurgle, as they finally ran out of steam. And I have to say, you know, that was a tournament match, one of the first, I think it was the first one of the tourney, and I was sweating bullets, dude. Like when he started pushing me off objectives and then rotating over, I thought I might be in some trouble. But the big win for us there, the one that I think gave us the game, was the ambushers and the little Grom killing the soul grinders. Soul grinders are very devastating over the course of a long game. If they can use all their ammo, kill your crossars, kill your infantry, and still be a terror-causing melee fighter, in late game, they're a nightmare to deal with. So if we didn't catch that little that soul grinder, I think we would have maybe lost that game. It was a big MVP play from those ambushers there. Mother Stank did great. She costs about 2,100, 22 with the kit that I brought, and she exceeded that value by 900, which is great at 3,000. Bear Riders were cool, and the Elemental Incarnate I think was an MVP. Nurgle doesn't have the best answers against it. I mean, they could tech into it. But even still, yeah, they don't have any like true dedicated anti-large piece outside of their throwing axes. So, you know, big monsters in Nurgle, they work well. Mutalith Vortex Beast can do something similar, granted. I feel like I don't know. Yeah, this one has healing though. The Mutalith Beast, I guess you could get healing by using Festus or by turning into a Nurgle character with the Changeling, but it's not really ideal. This thing has Patriarch healing, which is just jacked. So GG well played to my opponent. He's a great player and seemed like a very nice guy as well. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that one. Horsemen were his carries, 1,400, 1,500. I mean, they did very well, but weren't able to quite get the job done. GG guys, see you on the other side, and that's going to be it for tonight.